Lucy Scanlon. I'm an account director at Performics in London. My sessions for the SEO training was about account management best practices, knowing your client, frequently asked questions, and how important your team is. So the first section in account management best practice was be careful not to speak geek. I think we're all a little bit guilty of dropping in some technical jargon, and that's something we all have to be really careful of. For a lot of people, SEO is quite a scary world, and we have to really make sure that we're putting across the right message so we don't intimidate them and that they understand completely what we're trying to tell them. Communication is a really big point for me. All sorts of communication, and especially not just emails, because I think people rely on email a little bit too much. Site visits are really brilliant because not only do you get to sit down face to face with your client, but you also get an idea of what it's like for them to work in the environment and all the variables associated with that. So it's really good for understanding how their business works. What I call 100-page no-nos is big technical audits being dumped on a client's desk with really no warning. 100 pages is definitely not going to get read, and it's definitely not going to be appreciated. Although the audits are really important for us and they're absolutely necessary, most of the time in an audit you can separate what actually the client needs to be told, and most of the time, the rest is really for a development agency to take action from. What's also important to remember is if you make a mistake, because we all make mistakes and that's just part of being human, it's okay. Don't cover up your mistakes or don't think that you can't approach someone to help fix them. What's really important is how we fix a mishap and not covering up. And do yourself a favour and get organised with some project management tool like Basecamp. Basecamp is a platform where you can share files. It's got great version control, and it's available it's international, which means everyone can use it. My second section was knowing your client and the different types of client that you'll be dealing with based on their knowledge. I grouped them into 4 types of client. So one is the dangerously misinformed client, and this type of person, you'd need to, if you were going to change their opinion about SEO or try and bring them up to speed on the actual right way to go about doing SEO, because at the moment they've been reading too many unreliable sources, it's not going to happen overnight because they're probably going to think they know more than you, and it's the wrong sort of information. So you're going to need to substantiate and back up all of your demonstrations and all of your sort of teachings with some hard substantiated evidence. So that's really authoritative and blogs that are really well known. The second type of client is a curious client. This client doesn't really know a lot about SEO, but is really brilliantly excited to learn, really wants to learn, and has a real hunger for it. And with this client, it's a really good opportunity for you to become their mentor, because they're going to be like a sponge and suck up everything that you've got to tell them. The delegating client, this kind of person is just really interested and focused in results. So whilst they're keen, they're not really interested in the ins and outs of the campaign. They're not going to want to be contacted the whole time. They just want the job done, and the job done well. So this type of person would really benefit from a monthly newsletter, for example, which just says, here's the great work we're doing. Now you get the SEO expert, which is a great person and someone who you work collaboratively with, not someone who you shy away from or let them take too much of the lead, because you still want to be the authority here, but it's definitely someone you approach as a peer. My third section is frequently asked questions and how to deal with them. These kind of questions are normally what you expect to hear on a day-to-day basis, and if you're dealing with someone who doesn't know an awful lot about SEO, what you often hear, and what my point of this slide was, that you have to be a bit of an interpreter. They might come along and say to you, how long does SEO take? And by that, actually, they're meaning something else. It could mean, I've made a change to my site, and how long would it take for Google to recognize that? Or how long is Google crawling, how often is Google crawling the web? So it's about an investigation process into these questions you get asked, and not just taking them at face value, because quite often they don't really mean anything. So it's about doing a little bit of digging. It's really important when you're organising your team that you know your strengths and weaknesses, and you know team strengths and weaknesses. Don't put someone in front of a client who's not going to feel confident, and someone who perhaps would like to be client-facing, who is a back-end SEO at the moment, could perhaps have a wasted opportunity in developing their skills there. So it's really important that you understand your employees, and that your employees understand you as well.